Welcome to Sports Bet Daily at oddsmarket.com. It's week 11, it's NFL. We're going to have Spread Astaire with me. We've got no Jason, Sports Cake CEO, but you'll be seeing him all over the weekend on the live line. Let's all catch our breath after the Browns and the Steelers last night. Well, divisional game, rivalry, it all kicked off. And Myles Garrett, rest of the season, take it off, son. You're finished. No more. I think there might be some fines and maybe suspensions coming for Marcus Pouncey as well. But that's something we definitely don't want to see. Spread, I guess you watched that last night and it goes against everything. But what preceded it for me during the game was obviously the injury to James Conner. I think it was targeting. Too many helmet to helmets during the game. Smith-Schuster was out. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought it was rough, and it showed Mason Rudolph's inability as a quarterback. I know they had high hopes for him stepping in for Roethlisberger and thinking that he could take over that role, but it really shows you how much that Ben had been carrying this team the last couple of years because they looked really ineffective on offense. I think they have an okay defense, actually above average in my opinion, but when you just continually give your defense 3 and outs, you don't give them any field position, you don't get any momentum, you don't get any scores. It really shows the limitations of the football team. Obviously credit to the Browns for shutting down the Steelers offense, but I really thought that the loss fell squarely on the shoulders of Mason Rudolph and his inability to distribute the ball and get his playmakers involved.
We've watched him quite a few times this year, and every time he's seen him play, he wants too long in the pocket. He wants a written invitation. And then when he has got a wide open receiver, he seems to be like a cat in the headlights. He overthrows it. He underthrows it. It just, for me, I don't know how these players become potential NFL franchise quarterbacks. Listen, Big Ben, you go with Ben, you go with Brown, you go with Le'Veon Bell. They carried this team. Now all of a sudden they're not there. They are an absolute shambles. I don't think the Browns are any good neither. And I think it just goes to show how bad the AFC really is. Let's kick on. I know this is a game that you want to have a look at. Saints -5.5 get the Bucks, and the total is 50.
All right, one of my favorite angles this year has been Tampa Bay overs. Tampa Bay has a great offense, and they have a really poor secondary. Now, the Saints, to me, have one of the best defenses in the league, but I think that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, the combination is just unguardable in the secondary. Mike Evans, you really need to double cover him because I can't think of a corner in the league, even Jalen Ramsey, that can cover him one-on-one. And so then when you double team him, it leaves Chris Godwin open all day. Another thing is Jameis Winston. He's got a great arm, big arm. So either hits Mike Evans for the big score or hits the other team for a pick six. Either way, you get points on the board. Looking great for your overs. Not to mention the flat performance the Saints put out there against the Atlanta Falcons, right? Biggest surprise of the weekend last Sunday. Sean Payton's Bill Parcells' disciple, a no-nonsense guy. Expect him to get that team back on track. And I know that Drew Brees and company will be looking to score some points and get themselves back on track.
For you, are the Saints the number one NFC team?
Yes, they still are. I'm going to go ahead and throw that result against the Falcons out the window. It's kind of an odd divisional rivalry. And, they came out flat off the bye, probably reading their own press clippings, reading people like you and I talking about how good they are. And, it's a back-to-earth moment for the Saints. But with this little motivation, some extra tape to maybe highlight some of their deficiencies, I really expect the Saints to come back. And I think they have the most balanced team as far as offense and defense.
So do you like the over 50? What about the Saints -5.5? Do you like that?
If I were to play the side, I would take the Saints -5.5. Just Tampa can score so much. It just seems like the backdoor cover will be open, and they're trying to get the ball down the field the whole time. I didn't play the side, but if I were to play the side, I would lay the points with a motivated Saints team looking to bounce back off a bad loss.
Okay, Saints at the Bucks. It looks like it's a points fest. I think the 5.5 for the Saints looks like it could be a gimme. If you're going to get the Saints prior to last week, obviously the Falcons went in there. I think they were getting double digits, and they came away very, very easy winners. Rafa, I know you've now got Jace. Am I able to speak to Jason now? Jace, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
know
what's
if
up,
you're.
brother?
I don't know if you're 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late.
I've been sitting here waiting for 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, you want to turn your phone on because we've been calling you. It's always someone else's fault, Jace. And then it's never mine.
What's going on, bro?
Saints, -5.5 at the Bucks, totals 50. Have you got a lean or do you like it?
Yeah, I think I lean Tampa, to be honest. You know, Jameis Winston has consistently thrown for over 300 yards this season. So you know that you're going to get a good effort from him. I don't know what was wrong with the Saints last week. I refuse to believe Atlanta looked that good. They haven't looked that good all year on defense. I'm not betting the game, but I lean to taking the points with Tampa.
Okay, so let's move on. We talked about the Falcons going and beating the Saints, and not only beating them, giving them an absolute lesson. We got the Falcons +4.5 at the Panthers, and the total's 49. Jace, this is two teams you can't get right week in, week out.
Yeah, I like the Panthers here. I couldn't believe, we were just talking about it, the effort that the Falcons put forth against the Saints. The Saints were flat, but Atlanta looked solid. The defense finally shows up for the first time. Matt Ryan did enough to get the job done. All that said, I think they get beat this week. There is literally no reason to believe that the Falcons are an inspired team that will play differently from everything we've seen so far. I expect the defense to go back to the same defensive sieve that they have been all year. Carolina still in the playoff picture. They have everything to play for right now. They didn't look great against the Packers last week, but they won 3 of their last 5 games. And Allen and the offense should be able to move the ball successfully against the defense that we have seen everybody get right off of week after week. You know, Carolina still has a top 15 defense. They're home this week. Atlanta's terrible away from the dome. We know that. So give me the Panthers here. Get back on track and right the ship off that Packers loss. I like Carolina in this spot a lot.
Spread, Falcons, Panthers.
This is my favorite bet of the week. I'm right with Jace on this. Falcons are horrible outdoors, and basically it's an overreaction to last Sunday's result. If it wasn't last Sunday and you take out those results, I think the Panthers would be -7.5. We're moving through key numbers, and we're getting 3 points that really shouldn't be there. In my mind, should not be there. I don't think the Falcons defense is very good. It's a horrible matchup. Carolina's going to be able to give a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey. The Falcons have not shown, you throw last week out the window, they haven't shown their ability to stop the run all year. They're poor outdoors, and this is just a great bounce back spot for Carolina, who played Green Bay pretty tough. I mean, that was a very tough assignment to go up to Lambeau. It's snowing. It came down to the last play of the game. McCaffrey was very close. He could have been in. I don't know. The wide receiver blocked he blocked the camera angle. We didn't even know for sure. But I love Carolina here. This is my favorite bet of the week, and I can't believe that we're getting it under 7.
Yeah, and what about the 49 then? Because obviously we know that both of these offenses, on their day, they put up points. They're happy to march up and down the field. Panthers' defense should take care of the Falcons. So at 49, that looks like a gettable total.
It looks good, but I worry about the Falcons. They slow down outside. Their outside speed doesn't seem to be the same. And, last week was their Super Bowl. This is a huge letdown spot for Atlanta. I would stay away from this total personally.
Okay, let's move on. It's my first one of the week. Jags +3 at the Colts. Total points 43.5. I'm with the Colts, gentlemen, and this is another one of those teams that we can't get right. They win when they're dogs. They lose when they're favourites. But a completely different side, Jace, when they're in the home ground.
Yeah, there is a chance that Jacoby Brissett doesn't play this week. If that's the case, I like the Jags in this spot a lot. The Gardner Minshew did a serviceable job while Nick Foles was hurt. But he's finally back. I expect an inspired effort and boost of confidence from Jacksonville this week. Ordinarily, you would look back, you would look to the Colts in the spot off the loss to the Dolphins, right? The spot favors the Colts. But I don't think the spot is that favorable if Brian Hoyer continues to be their quarterback. And there's no guarantee that Jacoby Brissett plays this week. The Jags got killed last week against the Texans, but they won 2 of their last 3 games with a backup quarterback. I think the game shapes up nicely for Jacksonville in this spot. This is still a Jags team that is in the top 14 in both offensive and defensive DVOA, which is one of the team efficiency ratings that I take seriously. If Hoyer plays, I will be all over the Jags, and I'll take that field goal.
Okay, well, let's go to an out-and-out shootout. The points, 51.5. Texans plus 4.5. I get the Ravens. Jace.
Yeah, man, I don't know, Flash. This is a really tough game for me to call. I like the Houston Texans a lot. I'm higher on the Texans than most people are, but my God, that Baltimore Ravens team looks locked in right now. I think this is a game that I probably stay away from and just sit back and enjoy the game.
Well, couldn't agree more. I've been on the Ravens all season long. And then obviously the Patriots come to town. They breathe life into them. They just topped up their confidence tank. And now they're doing exactly what they want with teams. I mean, the total 51.5 spread, you're looking at this game and thinking, this could be absolutely anything.
Right. You know what my favorite angle for this spot is? I like teasing the Texans up to 10.5.
Okay. So that's a bit left field.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on the total. The 4.5 seems about right. I lean Deshaun Watson. I think that he's a more capable quarterback at this point of his career, but I think that the Ravens have a huge coaching advantage, and I think their defense is a little better, so I don't want to get near that 4.5, but I definitely think that Deshaun Watson will keep this close, and that's the number one teaser option to be on the board to bring that to 10.5 points. I'll be throwing that in a tease.
I was also trying to go in a little bit deeper on my thought process of this game because this is something that I think we may well see in the postseason. I think these two could definitely be seeing each other again. So how much of a 100%. Hand are they going to want to show? I look at it and go, Texans, definitely in probably the top 3 of the AFC. I've got the Ravens in the top 3 of the AFC. You throw Kansas in there as maybe the 4th side. Patriots are going to do it because they start the season 6-0. So I'm looking at this game thinking maybe I'll just watch this game. I'll probably watch it back and then look forward to them meeting in the postseason and getting the right edge, especially on the props, Jay, because I think that the postseason will be all about the props of what we've learnt so far. Now, what we've learnt so far, I'll start with you, Jace, is the Cardinals go to the 49ers. Cardinals getting 10.5. I know there was 11.5 in places. Total points, 44.5. Well, I know you was on the 49ers the other night, but I know there was a part of you that felt that there could have been a little bit like what happened with the Patriots when they come unstuck against Baltimore. Now, the Cardinals gave the 49ers a runaround a few weeks ago, but only after the game was gone and the 49ers took their foot off the gas. A lot of people are saying the Cardinals at 10.5 is a good spot.
Yeah, I don't know if what we saw last Monday night, Flash, was a quarterback that is just not as good as I thought he was, or a quarterback that lost George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders during the game and just had no weapons. So my gut says that this is a get-right spot at home for the 49ers if Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders are going to play. If they're not going to play, I'm nowhere near this game. So I'll be waiting until the inactive and active list finally drops. And I really need to see Sunday morning if these two weapons are going to play for the 49ers. If they do, I will probably beyond San Francisco to get right, because like you said, the first time that they played, they buried that team until they took their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
So, but it was disturbing to see how big a part of that offense that tight end and Emmanuel Sanders is. So I'm gonna have to wait until Sunday morning to make a move.
Spread, I look at this game, and the first thing I can definitely say, without having to have anyone else's opinion to bolster my own, is that this 49ers D is the real deal.
Definitely. I mean, you can't argue that. I would be careful, though. They are suffering for some injuries. They lost a D lineman. I think the loss of Quan Alexander was apparent last week. And that was a physical game that they played Monday night. To turn around after 6 days, they played the extra 10 minutes. I like Arizona there for that reason, but I'm with Jace. You basically look at the injury report. And I think Kittle is even more important than Sanders. If Kittle's there, Garoppolo, it looks like a stud. Without 100%. Kittle, he looks average, and without Kittle and Sanders, he looks below average. So the injury report's the key to that game, and that's where I'm looking with that. Lean Arizona if the two big players are out, the two big weapons are out.
Yeah, and also in this spot, I'm wondering if the 49ers just want to get back to winning ways. A W, so the 10.5, and some have got 11.5, so it's over 2 scores on the Cards. I don't know how much confidence the Cards took from being able to execute so many plays in the last, or basically the second half of the last game. But moving on to probably one of the biggest games that we're going to see over the next few weeks. The Patriots, -3.5 at the Eagles. Total points, 45. I've got this as the same spot as when the Patriots played Baltimore. I think that they've not seen a side anywhere near with the weapons, potentially, now we'll go on to this, that the Eagles have. I see the total at 45. I like over 45. I think both will get points on the board. But I think the Eagles get in the 3.5. I think they win the game. I think they win the game money line. And I think they win the game money line, especially if we have Howard and Jeffrey off of the IR and they end up playing. Spread, take me away with this game.
All right, so I'm on the opposite side of you. I could give you a bunch of trends, with Belichick off the bye, Belichick off a loss, fantastic looks here. But I'm just going to go simply for the matchup. I think that the Patriots will go back to looking good with a more conventional quarterback in Carson Wentz. I think that Lamar Jackson is almost impossible to prepare for, and that showed against Baltimore. I don't know. I mean, you have to just get an elite athlete and have him run around in the backfield to pretend like he's Jackson. I don't see how you prepare for it. Wentz is a little more traditional. You're going to get to see the Patriots playing more of their base defense, using their strong defense. And, boy, I think that that weak Eagles secondary is going to be like a time machine for Tom Brady, bringing him back about 10 years. And even with the lack of weapons on the outside now, especially with the release of Josh Gordon, which was quite surprising to me, especially as how good he looked in that Seattle game. But even without, so they still have Edelman. They still like to dump it off to their backs. And I look for the Patriots to get back on track here. Great bounce back spot against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm laying the 3.5.
Okay, Jace, part of my reasoning is, and I love this, is the Eagles' secondary is meant to be their weakest part, or is their weakest part? I don't see Brady testing them.
Flash, I think you're dead wrong here, buddy. I agree with you, though, that I think the over has to be on everybody's card. I don't see how the game goes under that low total. But listen, I've been fading the Eagles against any solid offense at a short price all year, and I have to do it here. Their secondary has not improved at all, and the defense will not be able to get to Brady because he gets the ball out of his hand faster than almost every quarterback in the league. So if the Eagles' defensive front can't get to Brady, that Eagles secondary, which has been abysmal all year, we know that, is going to get cooked in a major way, I think. Add in the fact that Belichick has an extra week to prepare, and it's the first time this team has taken the field since they got dick stomped against the Ravens. I can't possibly see a way how this team doesn't cover the short number, even though they're on the road. I like the Patriots in this spot big against the Eagles, man. I'll be on them, and I'm on the over too.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
Listen, I've gone with the over, and I've gone with the Eagles to obviously getting the points. But the other thing is that all three of us have failed to mention is that the Eagles come off a bye as well. So it's not.
That's true.
It's not just the Patriots. So home field, off a bye against the Patriot sides that are overrated. The D has done most of the damage this year. The weapons. I don't see any massive over-the-top dangers for the Eagles. And I think I know my Patriots better than anybody, and I think they're going to go in there, and I'm expecting nothing but an Eagles win. Okay, let's move on. Bengals, Bungles, plus 11 and a half against the Raiders. Total points, 48 and a half spread.
Boy, I got this in at 10.5 last night, so money must be coming with me here. I like Oakland a lot. I think Cincinnati's bad. I think the move to Ryan Finley is kind of a signal that they're tanking and they're looking to the future, moving on from Dalton. I think they know that Finley's not the future, but this is a great way to secure the number one pick and have their choice of Burrows or Tua. I don't think Finley's really ready for the NFL yet. And I think one thing that we will see here is how excellent this Oakland offensive line is. I don't see – Cincinnati already has a pretty poor pass rush. Oakland has a great offensive line. And when Derek Carr gets time, he looks really good. You know, where he really struggles is under pressure. And you give Derek Carr time, it's going to look great. And Oakland also has a bad pass rush, but I think that they'll be able to mitigate it because I don't think Finley's going to be able to take advantage of the time that he'll get in the pocket the way that Derek Carr does.
Jay, so look at 48.5. I think that might be a few points too high.
I think you're right. I can't touch the side. Do I think Oakland is a substantially better team this year than Cincinnati? I do, but 11.5, man. You know, everything has to go right for good teams to cover 11.5. I could easily see a backdoor cover here. So that's why I'm not going to touch the side. But I think you're right, Flash. If I was going to play something in this game, I would take the under. I think that Oakland is going to run the ball a lot with Josh Jacobs. It's probably going to tick time off that clock. I don't expect Cincinnati to contribute much to this total. So I think you're dead on. If I was going to bet anything in this game, I would be looking at the under.
And obviously the Raiders right in there for the playoff picture. I mean, another couple of weeks and we're going to really start thinking who's going to be wild card, and we're going to find some really juicy spots when sides are maybe backdooring, as you say, backdooring a wild card spot, but they're nowhere near good enough. Let's go to Monday night because we will all be together. Chiefs minus 3.5 at the Chargers, even though it's in Mexico, and the total's 52. My 2-unit play, I'm happy to tell you now, Jay, just for your own health, that you don't go against me. The Chiefs minus 3.5, 2-unit play, and the reasons why, I love the fact that I think that the Chargers defense at altitude will be on the field far more than the Chiefs D. I think that obviously the ball flies further. I mean, it doesn't matter where. They need to get into 55 yards, and it's almost like just a chip. So I almost like the over 52 as well. But Chiefs minus 3.5. I think that we see the old Kansas here.
I think that this is a really tough game to call. You know, the Chargers are finally starting to get healthy. They have been playing better. I lean your way, Flash, but as of right now, I haven't made a decision yet in this game. I think it's a lot closer than we think. Although I didn't even think about the altitude. I love that angle. I think that's a great call. That makes me think that the game probably goes over because both defenses will probably be breathing hard in the second half. Even a second half over might be a look for us when we're on Live Line on Monday night. But as of right now, I haven't picked a side. I will probably end up where you're at, but I'm not there yet.
Okay, before I come to you, Spread, the other one I've got for people who are obviously going to watch the game is halftime rushing props. Again, for the same reason. The front lines of the Ds will be absolutely smoking. They will be so hot that I can't see how the run game doesn't get opened up later on in the game. And also substitutions. Substitutions are so important. And I think that the Kansas roster against the Chargers roster has so much more depth.
I see. So I haven't played this game yet either, and I have concerns on both sides. My concerns, the reason I have not taken the Chiefs is their inability to stop the run. We know that the Chargers have a nice two-headed attack there with Gordon, who's finally looking like last year's Melvin Gordon. He's got the effects of the holdout off him. He's starting to have that burst again and looking great. Austin Eckler is a great change of pace, and I worry that taking Kansas City, that the Los Angeles Chargers will be able to run the ball, control time of possession, and basically keep Mahomes off the field. On the other side, Rivers hasn't looked that good this year. His arm strength is definitely declining. I think that his decision-making has always been questionable. Now you have declining arm strength. And just like you said, Kansas City has so much more weapons that, the 3.5, they almost look like that they're trying to get me to take the Chargers, knowing that the Chiefs will win big. I'm staying off this game for right now. One thing I'd like to add about the altitude, the Chargers went to Colorado this week to train to get ready for it. Kansas City did not. I don't really know if that's predictive. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I just go with the Chiefs. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks. You've got one that's up and coming, MVP potential over the next few years, and you've got a side that's got to get back into that playoff picture and be number 1 or 2. So that, listen, the Chiefs have any more slip-ups, they might just be a wild card. So for me, it's put up or shut up in Mexico on Monday night. Okay, the last game is when we haven't got the graphic because there was no markets up, but the markets came up just after we came on air, and it's Detroit plus 6.5 against Dallas. Total points 47. Just quick one, Spread. They're expecting no Stafford.
With no Stafford, I think you have to be on the Dallas side here, especially coming off the loss. And I watched last week. I was unfortunate enough to have placed a Detroit bet before the Stafford news came out. Was kind of hoping Driscoll would look okay, and he's okay, but he's sure no Matt Stafford, and the offense doesn't go without Stafford. Great bounce back spot for Dallas. If it doesn't get to 7 and Stafford's not playing, I think you have to look at the Cowboys here.
Is this a nice spot for you, Jay?
Yeah, with no Stafford, I think you have to look towards Dallas here to get right. Quickly, Flash, I don't know if you covered Vikings and Denver and Miami and Buffalo.
No, but I've got them here. I deleted the graphics. But go on.
Oh, okay.
What one do you want to
do? I like the Minnesota game. I like Minnesota. They're one of the best teams in the league. I think they're flying under the radar because everybody's talking about the Saints, 49ers, Packers, Seahawks in the NFC. Everybody is forgetting about this Minnesota team. They're one of the only teams that are in the top 10, both offensively and defensively. They might be the most balanced team in the league. And the reason they don't get a ton of love is because Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. But he's been playing better this year. This week, they're playing the Broncos. I understand that Brandon Allen looked passable against the Cleveland Browns, but this is not the Browns. I mean, he's going to see a real defense this week in a hostile environment. I think he's in for a reality check. So I like the Vikings' first half play here. You know, when you're talking about spreads over 10 points, you never know if a team is going to backdoor you in the NFL. But I think that the Vikings come in flying high off that Dallas win. And I like them in the first half. And then the only other game that I'm definitely on is Miami and Buffalo. If you take a look at this Miami team, since Ryan Fitzpatrick has taken over the reins, the Miami Dolphins have outscored their opponents overall by 2 points, right? So they've been nowhere near as bad as the public has made them out to be. since he's taken over. He's moving the ball well. If he limits his mistakes this week, I think they absolutely covered. I was on the Cleveland Browns and the under last night on Liveline, okay? The spot warranted being on them. But the Browns are not good. And they just beat Buffalo last week. Now the Bills are going to go on the road, cover almost a touchdown. The Bills haven't had a 300-yard passer in 2.5 years in a game, right? Now, I think Miami is still underrated in the marketplace. I think the Bills are still overrated in the marketplace. Miami could have easily won the first game in Buffalo, if not for a mistake. I think if the teams match up this week, I think they match up well against the Bills, and I'm taking the 6.5 points there. Sorry, I just wanted to let you know that because I didn't see the beginning of the show. I was waiting for Rafa.
No, listen, that's why we were here. If you have a look, I'll put the graphics, or Rafa put the graphics up. I already had the graphics, but obviously I just got rid of that game. So what about the total at 40.5 then? You think it might go over?
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to score. I think it could go over. You know, I just think that the Miami plus the points is a slam dunk this week. I really do. I'm not even going to touch the total. The total seems about right. I mean, the first time they played, I think the final score was 31-21.
Yeah.
So I think it flew over. It flew over that number in the first game. But can you count on Buffalo to score 31 points every week? No, we know that, right? So I don't know. I'm not going to mess with the total, but I like the 6.5, and I really like the Vikings in the first half.
I think you should mess with it. I mean, I think you should mess, and I think you should go over because this is a divisional game. The Bills have got designs on backdoor in this playoff picture, but I was also wondering whether the fish were worth anything on the money line.
I think so. Why not, man? They have not played bad over the last month. And we know if that Buffalo defense doesn't come to play every week, and I mean really come to play, then they're dead in the water, man. That offense is terrible. So I think so, Flash. At 6.5 points, what are you looking at? Like plus 240?
Yeah,
somewhere around there?
Yeah, I was going to say 225 straight away.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's worth a shot. Interested to see what Spread thinks on the game, but I don't know how you look any other way than Miami.
Yeah, I certainly would be looking towards the Bills. The only reason I'm cheering the Bills on now and again is because my friend at Jimmy the Bag has got their futures over 6, and they've already got 6. We want one more win from somewhere, but I think they might have to play the Jets, so that's like a gimme of 2 bad sides. Spread, what do you think?
Jason's actually right. And if you want to just do a quick handicap on this, at this point of their careers, Ryan Fitzpatrick is much better than Josh Allen. So it's a close game in the fourth quarter. You're going to want to be on that Miami side. And boy, Josh Allen throws one of the best deep balls in the league. And then in the 80s, he would have been a number 1 pick for sure, the prototype quarterback. But in this new league that really accuracy is so important, Josh Allen just does not have it. So he's so hit or miss. You don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get a couple great highlights, but you can't necessarily count on him to lead the team down the field, especially if you put a zone on him and make him work underneath. So I think Fitzpatrick can work underneath. He can find holes in the offense and in the defense, and I think that Miami's the right look here as well.
Yeah, more and more we talk. I'm liking the over 40.5. I can see this easy being like a 27-21, 27-19. I really like the over. I'm going to be getting involved in that. Listen, gentlemen, thank you very much. Spread, have a great weekend. Obviously, apart from where you've opposed me, which obviously then I know that's one in the bag. I will say that I got off to a bad start last night. I actually went on the over 40. I beat the market. The market was 41.5. And then obviously Connor getting injured, Schuster getting injured, a few targeting helmet to helmets. I knew my fate very, very early on. So anyone who told me, let's have a great weekend and look forward to Monday night where we go to Mexico. It's the same time though, Jay, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Same time.
I'm looking forward to it. I always love doing the shows with you, bro.
Cheers, my lad. Cheers. Listen, I love doing them as well because that means my mate Jimmy the Bag, who sits next to me, can cry in his soup. Listen, have a great weekend. Have great shows, Jay. Hope everything's
All right,
taking
buddy.
shape at home as well. Obviously, we send all our love to you, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Cheers, Spread. Okay, so that was Spread Astaire and the Sports Keg CEO going through the Week 11 NFL games, and there's some absolute crackers. My favourite is going to be the Patriots versus the Eagles. Patriots are in my heart. Eagles are in my pocket. And then on Monday, join us for the live line with Sports Keg CEO Max, Ant, and Jimmy the Bag when we go to Mexico for the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Diego Chargers. I'm going to be with the Chiefs all the way. And tomorrow we're going to do a Euro 2020 qualifiers, the last games of all the groups, and then we'll know who's heading for the finals. The Sunday, Monday and Tuesday games, myself and Alex will cover. Until then, you take care.